Welcome to Real World Peaceful Parenting, a podcast for parents that are tired of yelling, threatening, and punishing their kids. Join mom and master certified parent coach Lisa Smith as she gives you actionable, step-by-step strategies that'll help you transform your household from chaos to cooperation. Let's dive in.
Welcome to today's episode. Today, I am joined by a very special guest. Valeria is here with us, and you will recognize her beautiful voice. Valeria joined me for episode 164, where we talked about navigating fear and anger in parenting. She's the mother of a 2-year-old and a 5-year-old boy, each a boy, and she reports that they're very strong-willed. And she reached out for some help, and I thought we had a beautiful conversation and coaching session in which we talked about what it means to set limits around what our children are developmentally capable of, how to let go of the guilt, and how to connect before correcting. And a couple weeks since the episode, I reached out to her to see how it was going. And she said she had a massive transformation. And in fact, if I understand correctly, the transformation was so massive, she is now a beautiful member of our Hive community. So I invited Valeria back because I know as the listener, I know that the first episode was incredible for you to sort of listen in on as a fly on the wall. But I also know what takes it a step further is the follow-up where we can dig in and she can tell us how that coaching transformed her parenting and her family. So without further ado, join me in welcoming Valeria to today's episode. Welcome.
Thank you, Lisa. How are you? Very glad to see you again.
Yes, it's beautiful to be with you and see your face and be together. And I am doing well. Thank you for asking. My son is coming home tomorrow for spring break.
Wow.
I know. I'm so excited. He's going to be home for a week, sleeping in his bed, hanging out with us, playing with the dog. And it's going to feel like a flashback to high school. So I'm actually giddy. I can't wait to pick him up at the airport.
Of course, that's amazing. And I'm sure that you have like a lot of plans for him and for your family to enjoy this vacation.
Yes. And he'll be home for Easter too, which will be special.
Wow.
Yes. Yes.
I'm very happy.
Okay. So tell me.
It really was like amazing. I think that the thing number one that I do is like to trust in the process, because I listened to you and you told me that if you start to be like to work with empathy, a lot of things will change. And in my brain, it was like, yeah, but maybe I'm going to be a permissive parent. You know, we have to deal and to fight with all our past and the way that our fathers teach us how to be. So I remember perfect that my sister from Mexico was visiting us, and he knows perfectly my sons. And I remember that we were like in the table having breakfast, and Mateo, I see a storm coming. Actually, I don't remember why it was the storm. Maybe because he want ice cream to breakfast, something like that. And my sister was like, okay, this is going to be bad. And I was like, I know, Mateo, I know that you love ice cream for breakfast. I love it too. But how about we have ice cream like in the afternoon? And it was like, okay, we can have in the afternoon. So I was like, oh, and my sister was like, what do you do? And I was like, I'm trying to be empathy with him and not to, because the first thing in my mouth is, no, you're not going to have ice cream. I used to be like that. So the first time that I start with this, it was like total, his face changed. He was like, my mommy understands me. My mommy knows that I love ice cream, but I cannot have it. She doesn't say no. He said, later we can have it. So it was amazing because thanks for that. I am not feeling guilty because in the other Valeria will be like, no, we're not going to have it. And then we will struggle with the power that who is going to win this argument. And for now, I have been like dealing with this a lot. Like I see a storm coming, and instead of saying no, I try to be empathy with him, to understand that it was like two super important things that you teach me. That one, it's not personal. That's like totally different because he's not doing that to me. And sometimes I compare when my 2-year-old is crying because he's hungry, that he's not crying because he wants to bother me. He really is hungry. So like the 5-year-old, it's like he's telling me that he needs something and it's his way to communicate.
So beautiful. I so many things I want to dig into. So let's start at the beginning. I want to just acknowledge that, yes, many of us who grew up in homes where our parents love us, but there wasn't the empathy and understanding and connection. In the beginning, it feels very foreign, right? Especially in a culture where maybe empathy implies permissivity, right? And empathy wasn't modeled for you as a child. It wasn't offered. So now in the parent-child role, it feels awkward and it feels wrong. And maybe the worry is that it's going to lead to being a permissive parent, which then the fear of that is an entitled child. And empathy does not lead to permissivity. You've had a chance to witness it. What it leads to is the child feeling seen, heard, and valued, right? The child is happy to be told or will live with being told no ice cream if the empathy is offered on the front end. Oh, sweetheart, we love ice cream so much, don't we? And we can have it later. We're just not going to have it for breakfast. And he got it. And you got it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then the other thing I think that's easy to do when you have a 5 and a 2-year-old is adultize the 5-year-old, or at least advance him beyond 5, because in comparison to the 2-year-old, the 5-year-old is so much older and so much more independent. And right, they have words and language. And so the brain goes, oh, well, of course the 2-year-old isn't giving me a hard time, but the 5-year-old probably is because he's so much more advanced. But in reality, let's do the math on this so that we can see this. In reality, a 2-year-old is 8% of the way to a fully developed brain, and a 5-year-old is 20%. I mean, the difference is so small on the scale, right? And I think you kind of got that too in our coaching call.
Yes, totally, because I cannot compare both of them because their way to ask or to ask for a necessity to be covered, it's totally different. So I just understand that at the end, they want the same, but they have different way to ask it for.
Yes. And all humans are that way, right? The way, if you and I are best friends, the way I might ask for support from you might be completely different than the way you might want support from me. And what I've come to realize in all my rotations around the sun is that, or the earth, is that my job as your friend is to figure out how you want support and give it to you in that way, right? That to me makes a good friend. You know what I need. And it is no different with our children. Your 2-year-old and your 5-year-old are each their own souls who've come to earth to have their own experience. And I think part of peaceful parenting is for you as the mom to figure out, to realize that my 5-year-old is going to ask for help in the darndest of ways. And my 2-year-old is going to ask for help in a completely different darndest of ways. And my job as a mom is to show up and give them each the support they need when they're asking for it.
Totally. And also to stop fighting for the things, for example, for the ice cream, I was like, no, you will not have it. And Mateo was like, yes, I will have. And we can be like there maybe 30 minutes. And it has changed a lot. The only thing that I struggle sometimes is that sometimes I'm not in the mood. I need a lot of patience to stop fighting. I have to breathe. I have to go to my corner and say Mateo need a minute. And that's the way that we have been working that. But I think that our last storm was maybe, I don't know, maybe 1 month ago. We have working super good with this new tool.
Yeah, I think having patience and empathy and investing in the front end, it can feel exhausting in the beginning because it's new. Like you said, it's a new tool. But, as a financial advisor yourself, I see it as a 401k. I see it as, because here's the thing, and you'll relate to this. It's not only an investment in today, but it's also an investment in the long-term relationship of you and your boys. And I mean, this makes me want to weep saying this to you, but what you model for them is what they're going to learn. I was just telling a couple this morning that when we learn to stay regulated, not only do we show up in a better way to help our children, but our children are looking at us, Valeria, and they are saying, how does my mom solve problems when she's angry? How does my mom deal with frustration? How does my mom deal with telling people no ice cream for breakfast? and they're watching us. And what we model is how their brain says, oh, that's how we solve that problem.
Mm.
And so we're not only parenting, but we're teaching them how to solve their problems, right? And so it's kind of like the investment that not only pays a return, but a dividend. My husband loves investing in things that give a dividend. So it's really like a solid investment that not only pays a return down the road, but a yearly dividend, because what you model for your kids is how they're going to show up in the world.
Yeah, totally. And one super important thing is that our bond is like it has a lot of strength because of this, because we are not like fighting anymore. We are not like with the power struggle, and like it's helping a lot with this.
Yeah. And I bet you're seeing even a change in the interaction between the two boys. Maybe a little more patience, the 5-year-old with the 2-year-old, right? Because we also talked on our call, I remember, that sometimes the 5-year-old wants to be the 2-year-old, and you were frustrated before we talked with that too, right? We had talked about the birthday cake and and we're also teaching our children how to treat other people in how we show up in our interaction with them.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me your thoughts on that.
Yes, totally. Because now, as you say, I have to play with Mateo, that he's like the older one, and I have to give him like his space. And like, for example, I give him like tasks a little bit more of important than the 2-year-old. And that's it, because Mateo is always watching and looking how I am treating his brother. And he's learning about that because, for example, I remember that when I was mad and I yelled at the 2-year-old, I catch Mateo yelling to him because he's watching. He's watching that mommy screams to the younger brother. So they are always watching, always.
Yes. And the other thing your 5-year-old is looking for is, now really think about this, listener. Think about this. If you have multiple children, what's happening in Valeria's home is the 5-year-old. Now, this is all happening on a subconscious level because he's 5. Mm-hmm. But mom has the power in the home. Mom is deciding and making the rules. So, one of the things that your son is gauging is mom a dictator or a benevolent leader? Empathy is a benevolent leader, right? We're firm about the rules, but we deliver them with firmness and empathy. But the other thing your son is looking at is, how does the person with the power treat the people beneath them? So as you model kindness and patience, empathy, but firm guidelines, that empowers your 5-year-old to then, when he has the power over his 2-year-old sibling, show up as a benevolent leader rather than a dictator.
Wow. And they're learning that.
That's right. And he learns it by watching you. He doesn't, it's not osmosis. It isn't like at some age. I mean, all of the kids are born knowing how to cry, eat, poop, pass gas, burp, right? I mean, that's the basics. And all the emotional skills, the emotional intelligence, they learn by watching what we model.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just how it goes.
Yeah. And that's it. They are like all the time watching us. So we have to behave the way that they want to see the world and the way that they want to behave in the world. That's, for example, also my mother was here. I remember one of your episodes about boundaries in our family, because it was super fun. Like I was like treating Macho with empathy, and my mom was like, he's totally controlling you, like, because she learned to teach me, for example, in the place of fear, that when she made to me that look, or it's like, okay, I'm going to shut up. It's totally different the way that our generation are teaching our kids.
Yes. Yes. And I want to share a story with you to support that, if I may.
Mm-hmm.
So my son, Malcolm, he's 19. He's a freshman in college. And he's going to a really great school. And one of the things they do freshman year is they spend the first semester teaching kids practicing writing skills, college writing skills. And then the second semester, they take a class where they practice presentation skills, which I think is phenomenal. And so this semester, he's taking this presentation class, and the instructor tries to pick interesting topics because it doesn't matter what they're presenting, they're practicing presenting. So he was telling me recently, one of the topics that he had to present on was what makes a great childhood. And of course, this just warmed my heart, And I said to him, well, what did you present on? In the back of my mind, I'm thinking, well, you didn't call me. Why didn't you call me? I'm an expert in this area, right?
Mhm.
But then I realized he didn't call me because he already knows. So I said, well, what did you present on? What did you say? And he said, well, Mom, I said that what makes a great childhood is when the parents have rules. He said, kids need rules. But he said, but the rules need to be delivered with discipline and not punishment. And they need to be delivered with empathy, understanding, and room for the kid to have a voice. And I was
Oh.
like, I mean, drop the mic. My work is done, right? I mean,
Mhm.
now let's review that. So at the end of the day, your kid really doesn't want ice cream for breakfast. I mean, impulsively in the moment, he thinks he does, right? He does. But rules help him grow up learning that we don't eat ice cream for breakfast, right? It turns on the internal compass. And when they're delivered with discipline, not punishing, meaning yelling, attacking the character, trying to set the limit when you're, angry, imposing some harmful threat that attempts to teach the lesson, kids rebel against that, especially strong-willed, which you have two of, right? But when we say with a confidence, oh, honey, ice cream is so yummy and let's consider it later. But right now we're going to have eggs or oatmeal. The kid feels loved. He knows what's expected and he knows how to navigate the world. And then letting him have a voice, really connecting with him that the ice cream is yummy and I know you want it, but we're not going to have it right now. It just dissipates the storm.
Yes, and you are not saying like the first thing, like no. You are saying
Right.
like, okay, I know you like it, but right now it's time for breakfast. Later we can have it, and that's
Right.
like totally different.
And we're also not saying something like, what is wrong with you? Why would you ask for, right? We're not creating insecurity and doubt. What is wrong with you? Why would you ask we don't have ice cream for, right? We're also not doing that, which is really not helpful to building up the self-confidence and the self-worth in the kid, right?
Right.
The other thing I think you've done a great job, I want to talk about this for a moment, is you have done a nice job of what's called frustration tolerance, right? When our kids have big emotions, a lot of us are reacting because we can't be comfortable with those big emotions. We don't have a tolerance for our discomfort or our kids. And so oftentimes we either give into the ice cream. You might have said it would have been easy in the back of your mind to say, well, my sister's here and I don't want my kid to melt down and I don't want to be judged. So I'm just going to give my kid the ice cream. Or your mother's there and my mother thinks that my kid's controlling me. So I'm going to really give it to him. What is wrong with you? We're not having ice cream. Go to your room, right?
Mm-hmm.
But what you did is you stayed in that discomfort.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how big this is, right? What you're building a frustration tolerance. You're allowing yourself to be in this discomfort. And then you're modeling that for your boys too.
Mm.
We don't have to impulsively fix everything. There's not an answer. Like sometimes it's like, yeah, we can't give in to the urgency or the impulsivity of wanting ice cream. It's okay to want it and not have it right this second and be uncomfortable with that.
Mm-hmm.
Talk to me about that.
Yes, totally. Because for me, always the easy way is to say, okay, you're going to have ice cream because I don't want to see the storm coming. So I used to be like, maybe yes, the permissive parent because I was scared about the storm. So right now for me, it's like, I am not saying no. I'm just saying like, this is not the moment. So it was amazing. And also like to see the face of my sister, she was like, maybe I can use this technique also with my coworkers. And I was like, yes, because it's like, it's not only for child, it's like a tool to make strong relationships with all other human beings. So yes, you are right, because for me, always the easy way was to say, okay, let's do this, but not anymore, because I am trying to model him. As you say, I'm trying to say like, you have a voice. I know what you want. I know that it is delicious, but right now we cannot have it.
Yes. And get in the practice of saying, I hear you versus I know, right? I hear you. You voiced it and I heard it. And then I knew, right?
Right.
Yeah. I say all the time, staying regulated, learning to stay regulated is the rising tide that lifts all boats, right? This works on kids and partners, whether you're co-parenting in the same household or you're in different households, mother-in-laws, sisters, co-workers, the neighbor next door's dog barks all the time, the community people you interact with, right? I mean, it is the rising tide that lifts all boats in our lives. It increases emotional intelligence.
Yeah.
Right? Learning to stay regulated. This is why 2024 is the year of self-regulation, because we can't raise our emotional intelligence as humans if we're not staying regulated. I mean, that's that's like the foundation of the house. You have to have a strong foundation, and it's learning to stay regulated. Your children are a good place to start because being in that parent-child role is unique, you know? So I think what we're talking about is the intentional practice of learning how to sit with uncomfortable feelings, right? I mean, your sister's there, they're vacationing, it's someone's birthday, your kid asks for ice cream. I mean, I know that you weren't automatically like, oh, joy, right? It's uncomfortable. Like, he's asking for ice cream and people are watching and this is uncomfortable. And it's the intentional practice. This is, listener, what I want you to hear. It isn't that I sprinkled some magic dust or sent some magic dust in the mail to Valeria. It's that she made a commitment to the intentional practice of sitting with the uncomfortable feelings. And when we do this, it's a game changer in all of our relationships because many of us have uncomfortable feelings all day, right? We go to buy something and it isn't in stock, or Starbucks didn't make our coffee right, or there's traffic, or you're stuck behind someone driving slow, or your kids want ice cream for breakfast, or you forgot to take the chicken out for dinner, or your boss piled some more work on your plate. And so it's the recognition of the intentional practice of learning how to sit with those uncomfortable feelings.
It is.
You're doing a good job. Yeah. Okay. My last question. So I'm just curious, what motivated you to take all of this and then join the Hive?
Because I think that we are we are like a lot of parents struggling with the same. And exactly because you don't feel alone. You feel like in the community that we have kids and we want to improve as a parents. We want to make a difference. We want to make like something different than our parents. I don't know if good or bad they used to do, but I think that we are like a generation that want some change. And there you can have like all the tools and all the help that you can. And especially, you know that you are not alone in this parenthood journey.
Yes. Yes. I've been doing a lot of work recently on learning even deeper on the central nervous system. And one of the greatest regulators of the central nervous system back to a neutral state is feeling not alone, is feeling normal. Whatever you're experiencing is normal. I'm not alone and I'm in community. And so I agree with you. I think that being with like-minded parents, learning these tools, practicing, celebrating successes, learning that setbacks are normal, refreshing on the tools, I think it's the greatest investment we can make in our children other than saving for college. But it's an investment that will pay off for generations to come. So I just want to say well done in taking that leap and joining.
Thanks to you, Lisa.
Yeah, my pleasure. Anything else you want the listener to hear?
Just one more, like another tool that you help me or I learned from you is to stay firm and calm. That is totally something super important for my family because sometimes I am firm but not calm, or like calm but not firm. That tool is also helping me a lot because it's like, no, you cannot do it, but like super calm, and it has like make a lot of difference too.
I love that. I want to say that was really my greatest work too, because I was like you. I was firm and loud or calm and permissive, because that's what was modeled for me growing up. Half my family was calm and permissive and half were firm and dominant. And I didn't know what calm and firm looked like. And the invitation was to step into that. And the calm is me and how I'm showing up, which allows me to offer the empathy. And the firmness comes from setting the limit ahead of time, never in the heat of the moment, which I've had a couple podcast episodes on that lately. And what I really know to be true is that the calm and firm is the peaceful leader. And that's what I want us all to be. We are the leaders. We have the fully developed brain. You do get to decide whether there's ice cream for breakfast or not, because you have the your kid would be a hot mess if he was making all of his own decisions at 5 years old, right? So we're meant to be the leaders, but most of us don't know how to lead from that calm, empathetic, and firm place. And I think that's the switch that got flipped on for you, is how to do that all at the same time well. Calm, firm, and empathetic. Yeah?
Yeah.
That's
like,
a game changer.
Yes, totally. And I'm like, I do not have guilt anymore. So I feel very happy.
Yay. I love that, because guilt is the enemy of the effective parent. Guilt breeds more guilt, and it's hard to step into community. It's hard to step into calm. It's hard to add empathy when you're operating from that place of guilt. I love it. I love it. Well done. Well done. Thank you for sharing with us today. I'm grateful to you. People love when they get that part 2 follow-up and they can hear, all the changes that happened. You have a giant smile on your face. I just see a light beaming off of you compared to last time. So well done. And see, this is the power. We did one coaching session, and you had a massive transformation. And now you're going to come to the Hive and learn another skill and apply it, and then reinforce it in another skill. And that's the beauty of this whole thing. It's a building block.
Yes.
Yeah.
Totally.
Okay. I'll see you inside the Hive. Take care, everyone. Thank you for being here today. And until we meet again, I'm wishing you peaceful parenting. Thank you so much for listening today. I want to personally invite you to head over to thepeacefulparent.com/welcome and sign up for my free Peaceful Parenting mini course. You'll find everything you need to get started on the path to peaceful parenting just waiting for you over there at www.thepeacefulparent.com/welcome. Can't wait for you to get started.
Thanks for listening to Real World Peaceful Parenting. If you want more info on how you can transform your parenting, visit thepeacefulparent.com. See you soon.